What's going on, everybody? My name is Trey Hope, as you already know. Today I'm going to be coding in Flutter, which is a software development kit that allows you to make mobile apps for Android and iOS. Basically going to just give you a demonstration of what I work with on the daily to make the apps that I'm working on. So with Flutter, it's basically, like I said, a software development kit that allows you to code in Android and iOS in one code base, so it saves a lot of time and resources. So here we have the simulator on the left, which is going to be the iOS representation of the app. Then we have the IDE right here, which is where I do all the coding at, and this is where I'll give it instructions and let the app know what to do. So as you can see here, we have the example widget. This is going to be the widget we use, and the example widget is going to represent this entire thing in this iOS window. So with the example widget, whenever it's called, it's going to call two functions. The first one, init state. This is where you usually add all your data because this function is called before the view is displayed. The next function is called build, and this is what it's called when we actually display the view. So this is where we decide, all right, what do we want it to look like? How do we want it to function? Do we navigate away? Things such like that. So as you can see here, it's passing back null, and in coding, programming, null means nothing. So that's why we have this error message on the left, this big red screen, because it doesn't know what to display. It says null, so it's like, what do I display? Just nothing. So instead of null, we're going to give it a blank page, which is a scaffold in Flutter. And with the scaffold, it takes in a few properties, and this is where we add widgets on top of widgets, like I said earlier. So with the scaffold, it takes in a title, or not a title, it takes in an app bar. The app bar is the nav bar that you see at the top of your screen in some mobile app. So we'll add a app bar widget, and with the app bar widget, it has other properties as well, such as a title, and we'll give it a title of NBA Teams. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we got our little window right here. We're going to have the nav bar at the top that says NBA Teams. But now I want to add a little bit more information or data to it. So we're going to actually add some NBA teams. I have some stored in my file over here, the constants file. This is just like a quick file of NBA teams, name, city, image, color, things like that. So we'll be using those NBA teams and their information to display here in our example widget. So with that, now that we have the app bar, we need to add the body of the scaffold, and the body is essentially everything that's below the nav bar. So we'll say body. We'll put the list view builder. So list view builder is another widget, but it allows you to pass in data of however many elements, however big you want it to be, and then it determines based on what you want how you want it to be displayed. So when you see like a list of messages or a list of options in different apps, that's essentially a list view builder at work. So it takes in, or it returns, well, at first it asks for the item count, which is going to be however big the array is, the list that we're using. So I have the NBA teams with me, and we'll say NBA teams.length for the item count. So now it knows, hey, it's going to be 30 elements that we're working with, so we had to prepare for 30 different elements. The next thing that it asks for is the item builder, which gives us a build context and an index of each element that we're working with. So in here, this is where it says, hey, we're going to loop through each 30 of the items and display each 30 or each of the items information in the list, essentially. So with that, this is where we'll say, hey, why don't we just display like a list of names of the teams? So we can do a text with NBA teams at this index, and we want their name. So let's see what that looks like. All right, so as you can see in the simulator, we have the list of names of each team, but that looks very boring, looks very dry, doesn't look very appealing. So let's add some more information to it. Let's use a different widget besides text. Let's use a list tile. List tile gives us some extra options. as well as some padding and things like that to make it a little bit more presentable. So for the title, that's where we'll put the NBA team instead. NBA team, which is our array, like I said earlier, and index. Ask for the name. All right, so now we have a little bit more padding, a little bit more space. It looks a little better, but we can add a little bit more information, right? Because now we just have the name of the team, but maybe we want to know the city that they're from. So we'll add a subtitle, which is another property on list title. And this time we'll pass in the city. All right, so now we got the name and the city of each team. We also can, now that I'm looking at this, we can make it a little bit easier when it comes to referencing the NBA team that we're talking about at each index. We can create a local variable called NBA team to do this same logic right here. Because basically what this says is for the array of NBA teams, you want the one at index 0 or 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever. But we can just do this instead. Saves us a little bit of code and time. All right. So now we got the title and the subtitle, but we can add even more information. We have the actual image of each NBA team as well. We have the URL. So what we'll do here is on the list tile, there's a leading property that asks for a widget. And we'll pass in a circle avatar. Circle avatar is essentially just a circle of an image, and we'll tell it what image to display right here. So for the circle avatar, the background image requires a network image. The network image is going to be the URL of the NBA team, which is image URL. So let's see what that looks like. Cool. All right, so now we got the name, city, the image. It's starting to look a little bit more like an app. Let's add a little bit more visual pizzazz for the right side of the list tile. So the leading property is the icon, the image of the NBA team. For the trailing property, we want to have just like maybe an arrow pointing right, just to signify that there's more action that the user can take with the list tile. So we'll do trailing, icon/chevron right. All right, so now you can see that there is clearly something more that the user can do when they tap on this item. But right now, as you can see, there's nothing that happens when we tap on it. That's because we haven't told it what to do yet. So with the list tile, you can always give it some extra functionality with this on tap function. So whenever we click on an item in the list, we can tell it what to do or what to perform or whatever we need it to do. So in order to, let's display a message of whatever our favorite NBA team is. So if we click Atlanta Hawks, it should say the Atlanta Hawks are my favorite team, or the Celtics are my favorite team. So I didn't explain this earlier, but there's a scaffold key up here. This is it's an object that allows us to create messages on top of our scaffold, as I spoke of earlier. So we're going to pass it into the scaffold itself. And now when we tap on the NBA team of our choice, we'll call that scaffold key, get the current state, then show a snack bar. Snack bar is basically a message that shows up at the bottom of a screen. It's usually on Android devices. I don't really think iOS has it, but it's going to display the Warriors are my favorite team or the Nets are my favorite team. So we'll pass it a snack bar. The snack bar expects content, which is another widget. And that's going to be the title of our message, which is the NBA team.name are my favorite team. You're very excited, so we'll add the exclamation. All right, so now when we click Atlanta Hawks, it says the Hawks are my favorite team. Or you can switch it up and you can say the Pelicans are my favorite team. So now that function is being called on every NBA team in this list that we gave the instructions to. So with that said, that is essentially this app for today. It was just a simple little list view. Like I said, you got some understanding of how the list view widget works, how the builder works, understanding of what Flutter is and got to see it work in real time in this video. So I'll be continuing to post videos like these and give more information about whatever I'm working on, whatever I'm coding. So just feel free to keep watching, keep learning, and hopefully jump in eventually and get on this wave. As always, stay humble, stay hungry. See you later. Much love.